Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next Wasteless World Talks are here with Kevin, Bill, and myself. We will write on the back of a language towards Wasteless World. And we have one word to talk about. And today the word is birthday. And I will start with you, Kevin, because I have you on the top of my screen. So if you close your eyes and you hear the term birthday, what came first to your mind, please?
Well, it is a little bit of a reluctant celebration, in so much that I think almost everything we celebrate is collective. So it's Christmas, it's Easter, it's whatever. These are collective celebrations, but birthday is extremely individual, and I enjoy other people's birthdays, but not so much my own. I'm just a little bit uncomfortable about being at the focus of so much attention.
Thank you. What about you, Bill? When you heard the term, what came first to your mind?
Well, the birthday is at first I thought it's the beginning. It's the entrance. Um, but then the next thought right behind it was it's a transition because I was in some different form. I had been. Um, so it's transitioning to be a person. So I'm caught between those two now.
You know what is interesting that today, the day we are recording this, there is a birthday of my daughter. She's 22. At the same day, 11 years later, my company was registered. You cannot choose the date; it was just given. So my company was registered, and the interesting part, and you know about that, many in the noon discussion spoke about a lot of people, friends, celebrating your birthday. And you know, because I was born on December 24th, I have only once in my life, when I was 50, celebrated with friends. All the rest was all the time just with the family members. And I know that this year I will celebrate with my new family. So it will be much different than any other years in the last 22 years. And I think
Interesting.
that the birthday, we came to the conclusion, Charito says that, and it was a beautiful sentence. You know, Michael, I have birthday every single day when I woke up. And that's so nice. And I think this is how we should feel it.
Actually, think about it from what Bill was saying. It could easily be renamed and given a totally different meaning. So instead of birthday, imagine if we called it day one. What difference that would make to our
One.
approach. Yeah.
You know,
You know,
Oh,
it was interesting. There was Tracy. She's Chinese, living in the US for almost all her life. And it was interesting. She said, you know, we do not celebrate birthdays. We celebrate the day when we have been, uh, when the life started inside the womb. I don't know how it's called, that English term right now. So 9 months earlier. And she said, you know, it's quite crazy because the people who are born before August, the first birthday celebration, they are two, not one. 2 years old. So, and she was born on November.
what about people who are born after the sun goes down? Do they celebrate a birth night?
Mm, that's deep question which I can hardly answer because I was born at 10:30.
In the morning.
Yes.
I was born at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
What about you, Kevin?
I think I was around 4 p.m.
So we can
or
hardly
4
say.
o'clock in
So
the afternoon.
none of us have a birth night.
No.
but I like the idea of day one.
I like that.
That's so
It,
interesting.
yeah, it gives us a totally different, it anchors your life in a completely different way.
That's right. For me, Industry 5.0 birth 1, December 1st, 2015. And yesterday I published a post that December 1st, 2025, it will be 3,650 days, which we will celebrate. And it's nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would be comfortable celebrating 9 months earlier, because wouldn't there just be all sorts of rude jokes about that day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not in China, but yeah, I can imagine those as well.
Yeah. I know that in Denmark, the birth rate went up for one day, and that day was 9 months after Denmark had won the European Football Championship.
Yes.
I think that in the past, in my country, when there was still was socialism, I think that the birth rates rise up all every time when the electricity went down, when there was a winter, we call it the coal holidays, where because of the shortage of coals, the schools cannot be heated, children stay home, and somehow I don't know how it's connected with the birth rate, but it was like so.
Oh boy.
And it's quite interesting the birthday because I was preparing some of my articles and I was checking the UN population counter. There exists one population counter which was used frequently during COVID and so on. I was so surprised how many countries has a minus, so negative population growth. Almost all countries in Europe. And Czech Republic is the 10th in the world and third in Europe. And I did not expect that because a few years ago there has been very few countries with this negative one, but right now the list is very long.
I read an article about the replacement rate, and the replacement rate for humans is 2.1. That is, every couple needs to have 2.1 children in order to not have their population go down. And every country, every industrialized country, has something less than 2.1. And in fact, there are several that have a very low replacement rate. Korea is one, and Korea's replacement rate or their birth rate is 0.8. So the implications of that are that in order to keep a level population, you need to attract um, uh, immigration. And there are lots of countries, principally in South America and Africa, generally the southern hemisphere, that still have 6 or 8 children in the family. But most countries do not attract immigration.
And even if you attract immigration, there is the trouble with lining up with the society of
Yes.
yours. So even we are Czech and Ukrainian, we are East Europeans, and still there is a big trouble when the. I think it's connected with the fact that when the number reach some level in my country in Pilsen, there is I don't know, we have 360,000 a population, but I think one of the latest counting show up that every something like 40% are people from Ukraine. And it's already so from welcoming the people is changing to hating other people from one
Yes.
moment to another. It's not just about the work, it's the way about the way of living, the style of living, many things they are not used to, habits which we have, for example, and so on. So I think it's quite critical. But regarding the birthday, when do you think we will celebrate the birthday of our home robot?
Our home robot.
Home humanoid robot.
So I think we've already started celebrating it. When did that guy first use the word robot? 1924?
1921.
21. Or when I was growing up, there was a cartoon on television in the 60s called The Jetsons.
Yes.
And many of the things that we are now saying, oh, look at this wonderful new idea, they had in that cartoon. So somebody was seeing the future, including a maid, which was a robot, including lots of robots in the home. But I think that we're very close. I think we're very close. We have robots in the home today. Um, they don't move around, but they do talk and they do carry on a conversation. We have Siri, we have Alexa. Those are two that are in my home.
I have just seen a wonderful short video from Japan where probably an American came to a sushi restaurant and he bent over the counter and say, "I would like to have 3 sushi rolls." And the chief says, "You have to ask sushi." And there was on the counter was something like a jar. And he bent to the jar and say, "I would like to have 3 sushi rolls." And the chief started to laugh because he said, "This is soya jar. Siri is our counter over there or our staff over there." It was so realistic and so funny. And I don't know whether you noticed, but today in the morning, there was a news that Mark Zuckerberg and 2 more guys who are for social media, one is for Instagram, the second is for Snap. I don't use Snap. They are called to not justify what is the US procedure as they are questioned by the government or some officials and so on. And they will be questioned about whether it's true that social media made addicted. It's very interesting. Very
Is
interesting.
it? It's true that social media what?
Make you addictive. So addictive to social media.
Yeah, of course, and everybody should recognize that. Uh, yeah.
But Kevin, you would like to say something before?
No, I was going to say there won't be a birthday for my robot because I'm not getting one under any circumstances. I'm staying on a farm in the country at the moment, and you know, it's an old farm, and so I just found out that the first day I had to bend down to put a plug into the wall was just a struggle. And now after 10 days, I can actually bend down and put the plug in the wall with no problem at all. So I think that having a robot to do work for you is, the older you get, the less of a good idea it is. I think you have to, your mind and your body, you have to use every day if you can to keep them in shape.
Yes.
Yes, yes. There, we have a restaurant in town. It's a Chinese restaurant, and they have robots, 2 robots that deliver food from the kitchen out to your table. And our grandchildren love to watch these robots. They have 2 big eyes and a mouth, uh, and they run on wheels, and they don't hand you your plate, but whatever you've ordered is sitting inside. So I think we keep coming closer and closer. I suspect I suspect we should have be celebrating a robot's birthday already.
You know, you say about robots on wheels. Last week there was introduced I see that almost every single week or every 2 weeks I tell you something new from the electric unicycle world. So last week introduced new machine. The so-called free spin speed is 220 kilometers per hour. Riding speed should be 160. And not a single rider, even the specialist, they say we are not able to ride more than 130. It's one wheel. They had to get to use. I'm sure they will beat the 160. But they say there is such a limit in us as a rider. And I said all the time for EUC, the limit is not the machine. It will be all the time the rider because it's just one wheel. You don't need more. But it's so interesting. And I think that you are right, Bill, that already now people celebrating some birthday of the, new iPhone. You celebrate that you get it. There is a lot of people buying this new stuff and so on. And the only sad thing is that when there will come a new iPhone or any other device, they throw the old one away. And that's a question. I just read that there is a company in Europe which disassembly old planes or old, I think, Boeing or one of the planes to sell the engines, because the engines currently are more valuable than the entire plane, because there is some shortage on some parts and so on. And what was interesting information inside the article, that they disassemble planes after just 6 years of use.
Really?
Which means how long will we celebrate a robot birthday? 1 year, 2 years, then again start from zero? It's a very different story.
That's a very different story, yes.
Kevin, you said that you are right now on a farm for quite a long time comparing to the time which you spent in the cities. Are you missing anything from the city?
Absolutely nothing. You can notice the things that aren't here, but you don't miss any of them. The noise. For some reason, Copenhagen has there's always a police or an ambulance siren in the background. It is, and so don't hear that anymore, which is really, really nice somehow. And a lot of these things you don't notice what you're putting up with until they've gone, and then you can really appreciate that they're not there.
Do you feel that you somehow differently feel the time? So you are not pushed by time or whatever. Is there any different?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock each evening comes around much quicker here than it does in the city. It's the day flies by much quicker here because there's less distraction. So everything
Why
is
is that?
pure. I think it's because without distraction, everything is purer. So time is spent writing. It's there's no distractions to give indicators within that time period. So it doesn't feel like time is going by the same way.
But I feel that at the same time, you don't feel being older much more faster. It's like, I will say that is this time is going by, but it looks like I am being younger. As you said, I can bend easily and so on. Is it so?
Yeah, it's nice. It really is. It's you're more in touch with everything. You can hear the rain outside, whereas in the city you can't hear the rain, and that is just such a nice thing to hear again. And again, one of those things you don't miss until you hear it again, which in a way is like human nature and human rights. We lose them so slowly you don't actually miss them until you get them back. And you think, why on earth was I spending 10 years living like that?
If you think about your family celebrating the birthday, is there something special, some whatever, which is unique in your family comparing to others? A celebration. I say for my family, we celebrate one day before the day or the night before the day, which is in my country usually is understood as a bad omen because something can happen. You will never reach the age because of this one day and so on. But still, I don't know where it came from. But we celebrate the night before the day. So is there something similar in your families?
Well, in Galina's family, uh, they never celebrate, and you don't wish anybody happy birthday before the day. Bad luck, very bad luck.
Same here. I don't know why we do it, but we do it.
So you were talking about everything that you feel out in the country that you don't feel in the city, and I had a similar experience. I like to walk at the beach. The beach is right there, um, and some days I will walk on the beach, but my mind is full of things that I'm thinking about or worrying about, or my mind is somewhere else. And I'll get back from the walk and I'll realize I did not hear the waves a single time.
Yeah.
So then I turn around and I walk again. And this time I empty my mind so that I can hear the waves.
I actually spent, there was a 2-day storm here. And quite often after a heavy storm, amber gets washed up onto the beaches. So I spent 4 hours just walking along the beaches searching for amber and found plenty of stones, but no amber. But it it would, you're just looking at this little patch of ground, just a square foot of ground, looking at
Right.
it and then moving on, looking at it.
Right.
And your mind goes to some really nice places. So I was running through dialogue of the film at the moment and things like that. But it is so nice that the two things, you can actually do them both at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
And which with much higher efficiency. I just have a discussion today in the morning with one of the directors, and we realized that the society and industry is built on inefficiency. Because if it will be built on efficiency, it will not need repairs and so on. It will be all the time. So the financial system will broke because everything will be efficient. So this is why the politics and economy and everything, every country is in debt. All these negatives are pushed forward just to keep the system alive, the system which is ill. And I just would be really interested to find out when this ill system we started to understand it as the correct one. Because I'm sure it was not from the beginning. And I don't know who
Isn't,
introduced it.
isn't that interesting? Yes. Yes. In fact, Michael, you used the word efficiency and politicians in the same sentence. So please don't do that again.
I prepared my keynote for Singapore. For Kuala Lumpur, and it's about Industry 5.0 leadership ecosystem. And there is on page number 2, I think, there is written 2 sentences, which generally cause that I'm banned already on many other events with this keynote. Not a single politician is a leader. And not a single leader needs politics to lead.
Yes.
But it's interesting, Michael, talking about the system. I don't feel any ownership of this system. I don't feel any responsibility towards the system. You know, it's not my system, which is maybe not the healthiest attitude to have, but I would happily have somebody come up with a better one because I'm pretty sure there must be better ways.
That's very interesting because a lot of people are feeling that way. Um, we're having elections, not presidential elections, but local elections right now, and a lot of people feel that way. It's not my system. It, I, it, it's not my system. I don't own it. I don't have responsibility for what's going on. I so that's a common today.
And
Was it always that way?
do you think that the old system must die for the new one to enter? I don't think so, because for me, Industry 5.0 is evolution. All the before has been a revolution where something has to be killed to start something new. But in evolution,
Yeah,
it doesn't work this way.
yeah. I don't think something has to be stopped or killed for it to change. Um, Maybe everybody needs to get connected better instead of saying it's not mine. Saying I'm gonna make this mine. I'm gonna make this one little part. Excuse me. I don't know what it takes, but I do not feel connected with this system today.
And when you look back, did you feel connected to the system before?
I think so. I used to get into debates and conversations to explain why I like this or don't like that. Um, I, I don't get into those conversations today.
No, interesting. Neither do I. And I didn't notice stopping those conversations, but that this it's exactly the same way. That just you realize there's no point. You can discuss when you're
Right,
younger.
right.
Yeah.
There's no point. In fact, there's a favorite story that I've probably told you before about the tiger and the donkey. When I originally read the story, it was the tiger and the jackass, and I have changed that to donkey only because it sounds too negative to call jackass. And the donkey is running around saying the sky is green and the grass is blue, and the tiger said, no, that's not right. And finally they decided to take it to the lion, who is the king of the jungle, and let him decide. And after they had explained to the lion, the donkey said, "You have to punish him. You have to punish him. He's saying wrong things." And the lion said, "Okay, tiger, your punishment is you're not allowed to talk for a month." And the donkey was just thrilled to death and jumping around and went away. And the tiger says, "Why are you punishing me? You know that the sky is blue and the grass is green." And the lion said, "Because you spent time talking to the jackass. Not only that, then you brought it and took up my time on a question that's stupid." And so I think of that when I get into one of these stupid political discussions, and I say to myself, how did I even let myself get involved in this talk? So I don't get into those discussions anymore.
No, and I think when you're younger, you become aware of what's wrong. And so you discuss with your friends that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Then you reach a point in your life where you know what's wrong and you know this it's impossible to change.
Uh, do you think that us as humans, we are reborn in some way? For me, when I realized there is something wrong with the world and I can start to build wasteless world. This for me, I was 42, was so struggling that I will say it was the second birth for me. In fact, in one of my keynotes for students, which I deliver for 10 years already in the schools, I listed all the time six days which changed my life. Number one was my birthday. Number two is 3 days after the Velvet Revolution when I start to write and never stop writing. The third was the date when my daughter was born. Fourth is when I started to be entrepreneur. Fifth, when my company was created. Six was then uh, when Industry 5.0 was named, and just now I added the seventh one when I met Jane. And every single of those was in some way new birth of myself in a different way, but it was new. I was born new. Did you have the same in your life?
I remember walking on the beach um, 25 or 30 years ago, thinking if my life ends right now, it's okay. I was so tired. I was so fatigued, is a stronger word. I was ready to stop. I was ready to stop. The day that I realized that I was in love with Galina was a birthday for me. My whole life since I met her has been so different from anything that came before it that was my second birthday.
So beautiful. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that you do reach a point in your life when that life has ended, and there has to be something else. And I was thinking a few months ago that for a while I was a copywriter, and then I became a strategist, and then I became an author, and now I'm writing movies. And they are all rebirths, but I couldn't do one without doing the other first.
Right, right, right.
Absolutely right, because if we do not have the experience which we collected and we are not able to, I will not say analyze, we just live the life, but just now we value so much the change. And I'm so happy for Jane and me being in the same age, in the same school, uh, uh, joking about the same jokes which the young people do not understand and so on. It's so fascinating that I know you are with your loved ones for many years. I am with Jane for 5 months, and every single day it's more and more powerful. It's so fascinating, and I love it so much that it's unbelievable. And I'm so happy that we've been born again. It's easy to say I stop because I think that with every new of this, we are reborn. We learn new. It's this journey. We find this new meaningfulness. We find, of course, I have to learn this because I would like to do this, and it's so we are children in some way because we like to play. And I think to be a child after the birth or the new birth, it's so important. We should not skip.
Yeah, and nothing is wasted. It's an evolution every time, but a positive one.
Yes, yes. I just loved just yesterday one university in Europe, in Emirates generally. The president started to speak about Industry 5.0 and education and so on. So, and it was not a nonsense. He used the term which I use and so on. So I contacted him, and just now I'm waiting whether he will reply. Because uh, I realize what is the biggest issue for these people. It is the fact that I'm alive, because I can say no, it was not like this. Because for them, it's so easy to say, I don't know who was. Pythagoras says this. Nobody can ask him. Nobody can go back in time and ask him. But I can raise my hand and said, sorry, it's not this way. And I think this made the giant so scary because we can reborn, we can be born again. And the giants just go for the money, for the power and so on. They cannot be born again because they will lose their size. And they fear this stuff. They fear this stuff. So they can live or die. There is nothing in between. And it's so interesting. We have 4 minutes left.
One thing I was thinking is that there's definitely more hijackers than there are creators.
100% agree. And with AI, I will say it's 1,000 or millions times more because they just copy the content, change few words, and say it's me who made it. Yes.
Yeah.
I see it every day. So, but it's quite interesting that they end up on the edge of the virtual world, in fact, because they are not able to deliver the results. Just now there was I think in the US, a startup which says we can deliver anywhere in the world within 24 hours, anything. And I found out that they plan to have on orbit something like a warehouse from which you can ship a small rocket to the airs, and you will reach it in, I think, in 6 hours. They said, not 24, in 6 hours, anywhere in the world. And I was just reading this, and I said, but these people don't know anything about logistics. If you put bread, if you need bread, and you put a bread on the orbit on December 1st, 2025, and you need it in 6 years, it will be whatever. And they get immediately investors on board and so on. So wasting money, wasting time become the business model of so many which are not able to be born again. They just repeat the old mistakes. And I don't think that repeating old mistakes is being born again.
Right.
So we have 2 minutes left.
Oh. So, so do we have to get rid of the giants?
Yes. But they are dying already. So they are, and some of them are dead. They are just somebody pretending they are still alive, but they are not anymore. And I realized that long time ago, they are just really scavengers. Scavengers are called these creatures who eat on the dead flesh and so on. These are visible and pretending that the giant is alive, but they are not. Because the giant will never help another giant. They will help only if the other will die, because he considered, I will take his fortune and I will be much more powerful or have more money. So, but it was a great discussion. We have 1 minute left. So have a nice time. Free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be human, and be born every single day again with the loved ones on your side.
I like that.
And see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
All right.